Here we are. And I do mean that literally, here we are. This is our first podcast where some of the members of Dangerous Podcast are here together. Hi, everybody. My name is Ian Alley Seals, and I am the host of this, your favorite podcast on this or any other internet. And I'm here in the room with two other co-host compatriots. We have Jules.
Hi.
We have Jason.
Hello.
And we have John, who is just in another room because we didn't have enough room. And he's the man behind the scene. He's going to be controlling all of your messages and our multimedia things that never really work here anyway. But John does it. He puts in the time and he puts in the effort.
I make it happen.
That's right.
You know what? I make it happen. Cheryl's asking if we're together. Yes, Cheryl. Reunited, and it feels so good.
It feels all right. It's okay. I mean, it's okay.
It might be an overkill.
Yeah, we're gonna find out whether just keeping us all separated was really the best policy.
I doubt it.
I don't know.
Even just based on the ease in which I was able to squeeze that response in this room, as you said, you know what I mean? It's hard to gauge when you can jump in and the rest of it. You know, so
there was a moment right there where, yeah. Oh yeah. If you're looking at home, John is wearing a shirt that is buzz marketing The Office because it really needed that free advertisement.
They don't have enough money, so I want to help them out.
Yeah, the last successful TV show, I guess, or TV comedy, maybe. I don't know.
Parks and Rec did all right.
Yeah, it did all right.
Parks and Rec was the biggest ripoff of The Office.
It was. Which was?
It was actually, it was supposed to be a, what's the word am I looking for?
A spinoff.
A spinoff. But the only reason is that character, Quincy Davis's daughter,
Rashida Jones.
She was playing a.
Wait, what happened to John?
John just glitched out.
John, you're gone. And it's confusing because we're still here. So we're
you see me? Yeah. I think I'm back. No matter where I go, I have internet problems.
Okay.
So but anyway, Parks and Rec, I really liked it, but have we just totally gone off track because of John's shirt?
Yes.
Is that what just happened?
Yes.
Look, I'll give Parks and Rec cred for Ron Swanson. It's just like one of the best.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to stand for this. I'm not going to sit in this closet of a room and start backpedaling the awesomeness of Parks and Recreation. It's a great show. It was a great show with a lot of cultural impact. All right. I'm not going to sit here and go along with the crowd, be like, it was okay. It's got Ron Swanson. No, it's a great show.
I said nothing about the quality of it. It was only referencing the popularity of it. That's
all.
It's a pretty fair forgery.
Okay.
Amy Poehler is no Steve Carell. That's all I'm saying.
Amy Poehler. Oh. You're just throwing junk down because you want to get me riled up. And you're only throwing it down because
we're live here.
Because there's a wall between us right now. And I am right at the point where I'm going to challenge you to where am I looking? Where I'm going to challenge you to a boxing match.
Well, who's done that before?
Every other critic of Parks and Rec. I am going to challenge to a boxing match, and none of you have the guts to do it. And that is, in fact, a reference to the subject matter of our film tonight. Which is House of the Dead, my pick. And John has been waiting for. I don't know why I sink to your level and I take your bait every week. You've got this. And by the way, Cheryl says that I should fence John, and I should. Because
that means sell me stolen goods.
I am a collegiate fencer. I have lost to some of the best fencers in the country.
Impressive.
In 1998. They were pretty good then, too.
I do street fencing. We don't use any face shields or any of that.
No, not on the streets. You don't.
Not on the streets, yeah.
Yeah, you just use rebar and and trash can lids as shields, and that's
Right. That's how I roll.
That's how you do it. But every week I really take the bait, and John you keep needling me. You keep needling me about saying that that I love all movies, and that I really don't hate any movies. Doesn't matter how bad they are. I always find them endearing, which is a utter crock of shit.
It's
But I keep falling for it, and then I stew on it. And if you say that about this movie, if you somehow say that I like this, and also, why do I get offended that I like movies? I don't know how this is there's some litmus test
because it's true. That's why. Here's the thing: nobody thinks I like Kirk Cameron movies. You know, I don't get that criticism because I clearly don't. But the genre you pick. Do you like zombie movies?
No, I don't.
In general?
Really.
You're not a George Romero fan?
I'm not. I've met him. I met the late great George Romero.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, we didn't hang out. Like it was at I met him at this Comic-Con event.
Yeah.
At San Diego. I mean, I like George Romero fine, but I'm not a fan.
Not a Walking Dead fan?
I like
So Park and Rex was better than Walking Dead?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. There you go. There's your credibility, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. So,
but before we continue, I just got to say an analytical update. We are no longer the 250th most popular podcast in Canada under the review movie section.
don't tell us we dropped to 270.
No, sir. We moved up to this prestigious, well-desired of 247 in Canada for the thing. I mean, this is huge news, guys.
Jules,
right?
You didn't rig the balloons right.
Right.
We were supposed to have balloons.
You're supposed to come down right now. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry, but balloons are really expensive right now. There's a shortage. They cost 10 times as much. I just couldn't do it.
The people from 246 bought all of it.
Oh man! 246. I mean, they're so good. 246. That's a great podcast right there.
Mm-hmm. So 240, Canada. Come on,
Canada.
We can. Long-term goal. We're hitting 240.
We can do it, guys. We got to get more hockey movies. Jules,
That's right.
Jules took a swing.
I tried so hard.
Jules took a swing. Unfortunately, it's lost media.
It was the one movie we couldn't get anywhere.
Yeah.
Like was hard enough. Like I had to watch that on YouTube with a watermark coming through it. That's how I had to watch. I mean, and you know that I'm the path of least resistance guy. I'm not torrenting anything. Like, if other than Kirk Cameron, like, I wouldn't have bought anything Neil Breen. I wouldn't have done that. But everything else, like
one guy who needs it.
It's a labor of love. We invest time and money into this.
That's right.
But like, you would think that weird hockey movie, you'd be able to find it somewhere.
And it apparently existed 5 years ago or something, because there's people giving reviews of it on their weird podcasts about weird things or whatever, and it disappeared.
It'll pop back up.
Yeah,
the big man on campus disappeared for a long time, and it somehow popped up.
Yeah, that's true.
Still pretty hard to find Mystery Date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, so we're doing our job. We're not going for the easy picks.
Nope. And I totally would have thought Mystery Date would have been. I mean,
it's like
Ethan Hawke and Terry Polo. Well,
I would have thought that there's a factory where they just take everything in their catalog and scan it in at HD and just fart it out.
Library of Congress hasn't got there yet.
No, wait a minute.
Studio,
hold on.
so that they can make more money off of their existing catalog.
Did Weinstein theoretically have some hand in Mystery Date? I mean, in some sort of same production company, anything, because anything to do with Miramax, anything tangentially related to Weinstein is in this legal quagmire. That try getting The Matrix. If you run a movie theater and during pandemic, all people were doing was outdoor movies with classic films. Like this was 2020 was the year that Goonies and Jurassic Park and E.T. were the top of the box office again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but try doing The Matrix. You can't show The Matrix anywhere because it is completely oblique who owns it. So there is a chance that that's the case with Mystery Date.
John Amenta, Weinstein had his hands in a lot of things.
Oh, John!
That just flew. I'm so disappointed in us that that was just right there on our lap.
Why did it take John to throw
John,
that in there? Like,
I'm disappointed in myself. I'm glad John's here to.
yeah, but whatever the case, you can't watch Mystery Date other than on the black market. I don't even know where you guys found it.
I got it in HD.
Somehow it was like on demand for my cable provider.
So that's a little walk down memory lane for all of us. But let's talk about what we got here. Let's talk about what's at the table. Let's talk about Wee Bowls, House of the Dead. That's where we are. That's my pick.
Based on a video game from 1996.
Okay, but not even just a video game, everybody. I want to set the stage for this. My understanding of House of the Dead comes from a few places. Movie theater lobbies and Dave & Buster's. Because House of the Dead is one of the last first-person shooters. And I don't mean first-person shooters like Halo or Counter-Strike or anything like this.
More like
the first-person shooters that you go to an arcade, hold a fluorescent plastic gun,
like Duck Hunt,
a cable attached to this cabinet video game, and then you boom, 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 shoot at the screen. It is you pay with quarters or you pay with dollars, shooting them at the screen, first-person shooter arcade games. I'm not wrong, right? That's where this game primarily lived.
Who's the video game expert? Do you know, Jason?
I didn't frequent arcades enough to know this.
Like I do know for a fact that this game did come out for consoles. You could have bought it on the Wii. And what I found was really interesting about that, like one day I had this friend who brought his Wii over. This is like in the first year that the Wii came out.
Right.
And bought this.
Everybody who bought a Wii did that back then. I remember that.
It was
I'll come by your house with the Wii.
Woo! Okay, then you got a Wii.
And then you did a bunch of stuff and got exhausted.
Yeah, like literally every person that bought the Wii was a walking commercial for the Wii. It was exactly like that. Like it's like it was in the contract.
Yeah.
When you bought the Wii, you had to bring it with you at all times, and then you needed to tell everyone how great the Wii was, and then demonstrate by making everyone play tennis. Or in this case, House of the Dead. And what I had never realized, because there is no, Gunarso, thank you. If anyone was going to be digging deep into the history of House of the Dead, it would be our chief commenter.
Boom!
So, hey, it's Nick!
Nick! Boom!
So,
I can tell on Nick's face that he is not excited about talking about this movie.
no. I'm like House of the Dead. Interesting.
Gunarso's comment again.
It made me want to look and find the video game.
All right. Well,
we were just discussing the video game. So he came in perfect timing.
Railgun shooter, primarily in arcades, but was later made available for PC and console. Okay. And what I was really surprised about in this one day that this friend brought over the Wii and played House of the Dead was they leaned into plot. Like this game leaned into plot. Like this game that had never had any plot whatsoever other than you are wandering into a haunted house and shooting ghouls.
Okay.
Like they came up with characters, and also they did something I'd never really seen in video games up till that point, because I'm not a video game guy, was they leaned into a hard R NC-17 rating in this. Like it was full of profanity and nudity and gross out, and it was like they created characters and plot lines and incest plot lines. No effing joke. They did this in this game, and I'm like, how did they pack all of that into House of the Dead? But they did. But none of that was present in the form that I knew of it, which was arcade games. And I do like arcade games. I miss arcades. I loved playing video games in movie theater lobbies. I remember when I worked in a movie theater as a projectionist, I spent a lot of money down in the lobby playing NBA Jam. That was my thing. And what I loved about NBA Jam right there was you could put in your credential. You put in a password, and it saved your game. And it didn't save your game like mid-game, but if you were in a full season competition, it saved where you were, and you were building up to beat the Chicago Bulls, because this was in the early 2000s, but they apparently had a mid 1990s arcade game of NBA Jam. And here's my story.
Given that was the last time I heard anything about it, I would just assume the Chicago Bulls won all the time.
Yeah,
that was.
And it was the hardest team, and it took me a year because I'm not good at video games, but I got through one quarter at a time, and you did need to pay a quarter for every quarter of the game. So it was $1 to play through and win one game. But I did it. I made it to the Chicago Bulls. And the day that I was set to play, I walked into the lobby and they ripped out all of the arcade games. And that's a Greek tragedy. I mean, I know that hundreds of thousands into the millions of people have died of COVID. But what's the real tragedy here?
NBA Jam would have been a better film adaptation.
But
Before we get into this, before we start and we get into this, I want to say to you, Ian, you whiffed. You were close, but you missed. You had the right director. You had the wrong movie.
No, yes, there are, and I can say this right now, and I'm not against us bringing back more Uwe Boll. I'm not necessarily against against us some point bringing back Neil Breen. I will not tolerate Kirk Cameron. We've seen enough. And also, we don't need to. We We saw Saving Christmas. It's all that shit. We don't need to delve. You're not going to get anything new.
We don't need anything, but do we deserve it? Do you deserve it?
No.
That's the question. It's not do we need it.
I did not whiff here. I did not whiff.
You whiffed. And I'll tell you, Uwe Boll is one of the things he's famous for. And if anybody's going to know who he is, it's that he made a movie that is regarded as one of the worst ever. And it's not this one. He made a worse one than this, and it was Alone in the Dark.
Yeah, but Alone in the Dark is not representative of Uwe Boll's catalog, because Uwe Boll is over. He's German, right? Uwe Boll's German.
Yeah. What do you know? No, he's Chinese.
I mean,
yeah,
I'd never heard of the guy. I Googled him yesterday. It said he's German.
Yeah, he's not Swedish. No, he's German. And Uwe Boll's claim to fame, how he made his money, how he really got his foothold in the industry, was by making video game adaptations when there were no video game adaptations that went, and there still really aren't. We've just had a resurgence, Mortal Kombat just came back, and this is not the first video game adaptation we have done on this podcast. We did the Super Mario Brothers the movie, and I am going to say comic book movies have of course devoured cinema. I mean, all of cinema is now comic book movies. Everything else are weird little jackals trying to get scraps from this industry. But at this time, comic book movies were as unlikely to be successful as a video game movie. Yes, of course, Batman the movie. Of course, Superman.
They
Those existed.
Some hits. They at least had some hits, but there were no video game hits.
No, that's never happened.
Right. That's true.
Yeah,
No. I mean, that is not completely true, because I guess you would say Resident Evil. They've made money.
Relative to their budgets, the Resident Evil movies
they made money.
But also, they did a House of the Dead 2.
Yes. They did make a sequel, right? Which was fucking shocking. I'm going to look up the box.
You know what, though? I'm not shocked. I am not shocked, and I'll tell you why. Because when I flipped this on, I was kind of expecting, bad.
Yeah. Right.
I was expecting bad. But you guys have this different idea of what bad is.
Listen,
No, Ian does. I know what bad is because I've been to your house and seen your movies. But I know what bad is.
You guys have this idea of like bad is like, the House of the Dead. House of the Dead was just, it didn't make money. It didn't kill it at the box office. But
so I've got that data right here. Do you guys want to take a guess? I've got the budget and the box office drawn.
yeah, and I'm going to say this right now.
Go ahead.
I'm assuming House of the Dead did badly, but I never thought it necessarily did
Well,
badly.
it made a sequel, so you would assume it made money, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, no, every horror movie in the world gets to have a sequel because the budget is so low relative to what they made, even when it does horribly, that it gets to go on forever. So I'm not surprised.
you also have to take into account horror movies actually have a much wider audience than most other movies because horror doesn't really need to be translated.
yeah.
It's a concept. When somebody's coming at you with an axe, you're kind of scared.
Now, Nick, I want to address your comment here, which you're saying that we have a weird definition of bad, and I'm glad you say that because I do know what you're talking about. I know that there is a sub-level to cinema that we have rarely scratched.
Yeah.
Like we have not dove. We have not. I don't know English. We have not plunged into that deep end. I know that this comes from whenever anyone says that's the worst movie I've ever seen. I mean, I always cringe because I'm like, no, that's not true. That's no way that's true. First of all, if any of us have ever watched Mystery Science Theater 3000, we know what levels that can go to. And often that's not even the worst thing you can be coming to. There is a sub-basement level that is...
I mean, Knights of Newgate is the bar.
Yeah.
We should be going lower.
Oh, you could...
Nick wasn't here for Neil Breen. We have to forgive Neil. We have to forgive Nick because he wasn't here for any of the Neil Breen movies. But I would argue that Kirk
Neil
Cameron
Breen's down in that basement. Yeah, Neil Breen is down in that basement. Nick, I want to say this as the podcast. The point of this podcast is not a race to the bottom. Every movie that we talk about here isn't going to be, we've set out to find the worst movie ever made. Now, we are not always trying to find good movies either. That's not the point of it. It's we find movies that, one, people have forgotten, that we find there's a je ne sais quoi to it. Like it's, oh, this movie exists. Why does it exist? How did this movie exist? How did it come into existence? And sometimes that's not even the question either. So yes, we will be showing almost exclusively bad movies. But I didn't bring House of the Dead to us thinking this is the worst movie ever made. That wasn't my goal. I had two goals in this. One, no one really talks about Uwe Boll anymore. And people used to.
Yeah.
There's
No one ever thought Uwe Boll was good.
Yeah.
No one ever thought Uwe Boll was good.
And they were right.
Everyone, it wasn't a household name. Among cinephiles, he was. And it's like, how the frick does Uwe Boll keep making movies? How does this happen? That's what everybody used to talk about. And he's gone. We've all forgotten this motherfucker.
But I'll tell you why he makes movies. And you look at his list of movies, he is pretty prolific. He'll do 4 or 5 movies a year.
Yeah.
And if you look at the budgets, he's pretty lean. So it's easy to make money. And if you're making 4 or 5 a year, you could see how that adds up, and he's actually making the studio money, and that will keep a director making
What
movies.
was the budget again for this one?
It was $12 million, and the
million.
box office was 13.8.
Yeah.
And I want to add, going back to what Ian said about we didn't necessarily set out for the worst movies. The original slogan for this podcast was "Movies the World Forgot," and it's not necessarily always the worst movies, but sometimes
that's not right. I have to correct everyone every time when they try to say that.
John has the correct.
Movies the world forgot. Well, you guys didn't tell me that.
It was reviewing the movies the world wanted to forget.
Okay, so John, say it one more time. What is the official tagline?
Dangerous Podcast, reviewing movies the world wanted to forget.
Okay, so in that tagline, it is implied that these movies are bad.
Yes.
But we have reviewed some good movies by mistake, and often that's my fault. Like we did review Rollerball, and I think, and the only reason it qualified was I remembered my dad saying it wasn't good.
The original.
The original.
All right, James Caan.
And now listen, Rollerball 2000. Now that qualified.
I'm like.
But also, I because John gets under my skin, he gets in my head, and I wanted to find a movie that I literally have no.
If you're getting endeared by a movie, I'm going to call it out. I mean, the thing is, and I'll tell you what, I think we're always going to have our own interpretation of what kind of movie we need to bring to the podcast. Mine are movies that are so bad, they're entertaining. Like, I enjoy the hell out of a Neil Breen movie, where Jason's movies just bore me to tears. And they're both bad, they're both bad, but Amanda and Alien is just pointless. It's like, it's bad. I'll give them that. Won't argue with it. But I don't know.
Let's not argue about the premise of the show anymore, and let's just get into the show and actually deal with the. So,
So I'm going to talk my backstory with this film. It is not long, and why I chose this film because I despise it. And I always have despised it. Now, when I was a projectionist at the formerly Crown Movie Theater, which became Bowtie Movie Theater, and is now becoming Apple Cinema, where they will have axe throwing. So, new part of the cinema experience, everybody.
Are they really?
So when I worked at Crown, which is what I always call the theater, as a projectionist in a multiplex, you end up watching movies in the worst way possible, which is when you have a little downtime, you walk by a projector, you look in the window, and you turn on the sound, and you watch about 15 minutes of it. And then the next day, you watch another 15 minutes completely out of order. And after a week, you've watched an entire movie in a completely wrong order, and you have to then piece it together in your brain. It is the worst way to experience cinema ever, and I did it all the time. And the first time I went by Uwe Boll's House of the Dead. Now, this is a film that was on film. It goes back to that date that I had to splice the reels together by hand. I put actual effort into putting this movie together. And I walked by, I looked through the window, I turned on the sound, and I saw a few people fighting some very badly made up zombies. And I'm like, okay. And then it cut to a garbled image from the video game.
Yes.
For no reason, it would cut to a shot of the arcade game.
Yes.
And I said, what in God's green earth am I watching here? And I walked away.
You are watching.
It was one of the only movies.
Brilliance.
Oh, God. It was one of the only
Brilliance.
at Crown that I never watched all the way through. And ever since that, I don't know, there's something about that rankled me. That, like, you're going to make your video game adaptation by incorporating not cutscenes, but badly shot footage from the video game.
Yes.
Oh, God.
And I can tell you, it makes you want to go get the video game.
It doesn't. I liked the game. I probably spent over $20 in my life playing that game.
It's like the penis they stick in Fight Club. It's just flashes there. Go get the video game.
Except for what was weird about it was that those flashes didn't relate necessarily to what was on the screen.
Never did.
Half of the time. Sometimes they did. Actually, there was one
They-
time where
The cutscenes when they're in the shootout.
before
Completely different guns.
Island, and you're seeing like people shooting, and I'm like, what the fuck are you showing me? What you know? Because they're on the boat. They haven't even gone there. Why are you showing me people shooting other people? I don't even know what that.
And you know what the thing is? They called those shots. Those shots were bullet time shots. That was like totally trying to capitalize on the whole Matrix bullet time.
Oh, we'll get there in a minute, Nick. I'm sorry. We're going to talk about that bullshit in depth. So we are going. Ganarso said $20 fucking amateur. I didn't play House of the Dead. I have spent probably $200 on the Star Wars trilogy first-person railgun or shooter or whatever you call it. Spent a lot of money on that. That was the one where you could use Darth Vader's lightsaber, or you could use Luke's lightsaber in it. I played a lot on that. But anyway, there's not really a lot to say about this movie. So, okay, except for some stuff that, John, there's nowhere in this movie that's endearing, but there are some stuff that scares me as an indie filmmaker, and we'll get to that in a minute. So, it begins with the main character, if one could say such a thing, who is... normally I have like all the info up on my computer, but we're together. See, this doesn't work. This is getting in the way of all the... this is Rudy. Character's name is Rudy, played by Jonathan Cherry, which is a fucking terrible name.
Jonathan Cherry or Rudy?
No, Jonathan Cherry.
Jonathan Cherry.
Come on.
What kind of name is that?
Name?
That's his stage name.
All right.
Like every stripper.
So Jonathan Cherry is in this film, and he's playing Rudy. And was that the main character?
Who's the main character?
Was the main character the narrator?
Who's the narrator?
Yeah,
That is Rudy.
It was Rudy. And it shows him, and he's sitting, and if you can see me, he's like crouched. And he's like, I can't believe I got through it. Everybody dead. I can't believe I got through it. Sucked. He didn't say it like it was essentially that, and he's like, it all started at the rave. And then you cut to a rave. A rave, by the way, that is in the middle of the day.
Right.
I don't know much about raves, everybody, but I'm pretty sure the glow sticks don't glow except at night.
Listen, that's a lie right there. You do know about raves.
Oh, because I know about the glow sticks?
Yes.
That was a party.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a rave. Save for the fact that, like, afterwards at night they did actually, rage. But it was really just, I watched it and I was like looking at this caliber of cast. Like, first of all, whatchamacallit, Richie Cunningham's
Clint Howard.
Like, I'm so pissed they have Clint Howard in this movie, because I love Clint Howard.
He was great. Jürgen Prankow.
Oh my God.
Like, what are you doing in this movie?
Well, someone had to be there to warn everyone not to go on his boat.
Yeah, like, okay, guys, hold on. Let me just get to this. Okay, here we go. Guy's at a rave. He's like, I just broke up with my girlfriend and I'm here at my rave. There are all these hot girls with hot titties. I should be a red-blooded American sleeping with them, but I'm sad because I broke up with my girlfriend. And then he cuts to, my friends were at the dock way down the way. And so he establishes that there's this big festival, biggest party in the world happening right here. Now I'm going to digress onto why this scares me. And they show the party. Oh, by the way, Ganarso says, did you guys notice the wildly differentiating quality in zombie makeup? They had like 3 guys in really good makeup that they kept reusing and killing multiple scenes.
I'm telling you, this director knows how to save a buck. That's why he gets. That's how you get to keep making movies.
There are a lot of really good money-saving techniques in this movie.
Yeah.
Like having the rave during the day, having everybody at the rave.
Right,
die.
exactly.
I mean, this is just,
But first of all, okay. So I'm going to digress into The Stolen Mile, the film that we're making.
One of
And
those
one of
daytime
the
raves.
One of the difficult things we have is we do have a party scene. We have a block party scene. This is a action adventure car race film, and of course there needs to be the party. And we have a lot that we film in, and we brought in a lot of people. We got in nearly 100 people into this thing. And one thing you learn when you're shooting outdoors in a open space is that 100 people is nothing. It's nothing. On camera, 100 people in an open space, even if you pack them together, looks like you have 5 people. It is so hard to do. And so this scene, the rave, I'm sure he probably has 200 people. He probably has a good amount of extras, and it looks like the lamest fucking rave I've ever seen in my life. Everyone's like, this is the greatest party I've ever been to. I'm like, this is so dead. This is there's nobody here. I used to work at the Meadows Music Theater in Hartford, and I've seen crowds, and this looks like a relatively dead college party.
Yeah.
It looked so bad.
You are correct, sir, in the fact that like when you do take like 100 people and put them on a spaced area, it doesn't look like anything. But when you take 50 people and put them in a 10-foot square, that turns into a rager right there.
Yeah, you can. So, but if anyone can sell me that this rager was the party of the century, then I guess I know nothing about parties, because this was a relatively lame party from the beginning. So then you cut to Rudy's friends who are at the dock, because it's happening on an island, everybody. It's happening on an island. And so you cut to his friends on the dock, and they miss the ferry. They can't make it to the island. And Rudy then narrates all his friends, like, here's my friend who's the jock. Here's his hot girlfriend. Here is my friend who's an underwear model because he's hot. And here is my ex-girlfriend. We split up.
So she could do fencing.
Because she wanted to study fencing and he wanted to focus on his grades. That was why they broke up. Okay. All right. Now,
yes. No question. She was pretty hot.
Oh yeah, I mean, she was hot.
She was pretty hot.
The ex-girlfriend.
Who was the ex-girlfriend?
See, that's the thing. I'm not defining these characters with names. She was the redhead, right? She was
the last woman to die.
There was a redhead?
Yeah.
I think it was.
There was a blonde and there was a brunette.
A blonde, a brunette, a red, white, and blue.
Oh, we'll get to her.
Yeah, but so was this the brunette?
Here's the brunette. The brunette.
Okay.
The nerdy one. She had glasses.
Wait, guys, let's stop arguing. Let's stop trying to think of it and then ask Ganarso.
Yeah. Ganarso just said, dude, everyone in this movie was crazy good. This is true. This is true. So they need to get there, and they go to a fishing boat. And they meet Clint Howard, brother of Ron Howard, who can do no wrong. Even in this movie, he can do no wrong.
Why are you in this movie?
Listen, they paid SAG rates to literally 2 people in this movie. They paid it Howard and who else did they pay, Nick?
Jürgen Prochnow, who
is a storied and famous German actor, star of Das Boot, the Duke Leto Atreides in the original Dune. Like, this guy's an actor. Why are you in
this movie?
Good actor, and they got him. And so first of all, so like the jock is talking to Clint Howard. Is like, all right, what's it going to cost to hire this boat? He's like, we don't take on passengers. We're a fishing boat. Get away. It's like, what's it going to take? Is it going to take $50? And I'm already like, aren't you rich? Like you
He's
don't
an underwear model, of course.
you don't hire someone with $50. And he's like, no. How about a cool honey? How about $100? And he's like, well, $100. Let me talk to my boss. And then
no, because he was still all nut now. But then enter the U-boat captain.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, you know Uwe Boll is tickled pink that he has this guy. He has Mr. Das Boot because they work in the dialogue of like the underwear model goes, oh, great, the U-boat captain. I'm like, fuck you. You don't get to mention Das Boot. Don't pretend like you have some heir to quality because you paid the lead from Das Boot. Don't you dare do that. Don't you? Like, I get that you could hire him, but you don't get to make reference to him now.
As a complete aside, I think that Jürgen Prankow's view of Das Boot is not as sacred as others may have it. I remember, gosh, what was the movie with him? Beer Fest?
It was a Beer Fest.
Yeah.
Beer Fest was a funny movie.
Mm-hmm. It was a funny movie, but it was the whole scene where he flashes back to, oh, I was on a U-boat once.
And that's of course the issue with this actor is like he has a storied career of many great films, but like it's always going to be Das Boot. But anyway, it pissed me off that they put that bit of dialogue in there. You don't get to fake legitimacy.
That pissed you off?
Yeah.
Then his name is Kurt.
and they make this Captain Kirk joke, and he's like,
"Oh no, you can't make a Captain Kirk joke." He takes a knife and like stabs it into the side of the deck, and the guy's like, "Oh, but I'll still get on your boat, even though you're crazy knife wielding."
Well, they did call him Captain Kirk, and who's Mr. Spock? So
yeah.
And so they offer to pay Captain Kirk $1,000 to get him to this party. And he's like, I don't want to go to this party. It's the Isle de los Muertos. You know what that means? The island of the dead. And so, and by the way, I would like to know, by the way, Cheryl. Hey, Cheryl. I just said, unless you're the Raimi brothers, you need a strong chin and a lot of determination and the ability to not take yourself too seriously. This is true if you're going to make a movie like this. And yeah, like that's another, like when you think about it this way, couldn't they have just thrown some money at Sam Raimi and he could have made their House of the Dead movie?
That would.
How much money do they have to throw at Sam Raimi?
Uwe knows how to make
too much money.
So he does. He buys the rights himself, so that's why it gets to happen. It's like
also, God,
it's like Warren Beatty and Dick Tracy. Like he bought the rights. Like there's nobody else.
No, but Sony.
You know what I mean? Like
Sony wanted to be involved in this movie. Like they wanted to be involved. The Rave is sponsored by Sony. They have a big Sony label over the Rave. They wanted in on this. They're like, this is the guy, this is the director, and this is what we're doing.
But he bought the rights, so they were like, So they were like, well, we'll go in because he bought.
We'll put up a poster.
So they pay off Captain Kirk, and then the like Coast Guard is coming. They're like, hey, can we pay another $100 to like get us out of here? And he's like, yeah, okay. And then you get some backstories like, I don't like that chick from the Coast Guard. We used to serve together. And then she worked with Uncle Sam and I didn't. And so we're building a backstory that I shouldn't even be saying. So they take them to the island.
That's to justify their kill counts.
Okay. So they take them to the island and they then go to the Rave. It is now getting dark. And Captain Kirk says that he will wait at the shore till the party's done, which I don't think they paid enough for that because isn't this party going to go on for like 5 days?
They didn't say.
I thought it was implied that they're going to be here a while. But anyway, they pay Kirk to stay there. So they go and the whole scene is dead. And I mean dead as in there's no one there. It's an empty rave. And the only one for whom this is suspicious is Glasses. is Brunette, one of the other hot girls, the ex-girlfriend. She's like, isn't this weird that no one's here? And rather than have the characters address this in any way, she's the only one who thinks it's odd.
Mhm.
Like everyone else is like, no, this seems great. And they go and they're drinking
I thought
beer.
they agreed and just. I thought they kind of agreed. They're like, yeah, it's weird, and they just started drinking.
I didn't think they thought it was weird at all.
No, they were not. Like, I understand in a horror movie.
Okay, because I really do just have to ask. All right, you get invited to go to a raging party, and you get to where it's supposed to be, and there's clothes, wreckage, no people on this deserted island. Nothing goes off in the back of your head saying, like, maybe we should get out of here. Maybe we should go. Maybe we should just not be here. Like that basic survival instinct that mammals have.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't think that.
No,
Jules, if I showed up to a rave and nobody was there, I would not be like, obviously, some supernatural.
I understand
murder
that.
If the lights were still on.
Like Jules.
I'm saying I go about my daily life, and as things continue, I don't particularly consider the possibility. And I'm going to get back into this because they fucked this up a lot. Okay, but I don't fundamentally consider that this is a possibility of something that I need to be worried about. Because, in fact, we have no instances of raves in my entire life of them all being murdered for any reason, even if it was something as boring as a shooter. That's boring. It's not even supernatural. That's never happened. So if I go to a rave and nobody is there, I'm not worried. So I do not mean to. I'm not defending this movie. I'm not defending Uwe Boll. I'm just saying. I understand within the framework of a horror movie, that's the mindset we expect, because obviously they're in a horror movie and we feel like they should know, but they don't know. But I know I don't live in a horror movie. And yeah.
Counterpoint, I think your experience has tainted you because I'm pretty sure throughout the 90s, Jules got invited to many raves, and every time he went there, they were empty. So I do realize that you've had in your
it's normal, yes,
yeah, that in your truth, this is how raves operate. But counterpoint to that, I am completely with you that the auto assumption that supernatural tomfoolery is afoot, that is unreasonable. That you know, one of the things about a horror movie that's compelling usually is we know it's a horror movie and they don't. And it's like, oh, just leave the house. But why would anyone suspect that it's a horror movie? But I will push back on, you go to the party of the century and it's a ghost town, but everybody's stuff is still there, that you are not fazed at all. I push back against that. But no matter what, that is the choice.
That is completely legitimate pushback, because I go to a party of the century and I see stuff left behind but no people. I'm not going to assume something supernatural is going on, but I will assume, yeah, this party got raided and this is being staked out right now.
I'm going to read a Gunarso quote. Actually, the Raimi brothers are a really good point of contrast because ostensibly they're both low-budget horror flicks. Uwe Boll fundamentally misunderstands tension-building, dialogue pacing, and how to make characters likable. You don't get the feeling that he cares about this movie at all. Absolutely, that's a very astute comment.
Yeah, what's weird is that Uwe Boll obviously does care, but manages to do this anyway.
He left it up to the actors to actually endear the characters.
Because I was getting the distinct impression from the movie that Uwe Boll wrote a script in German, and it was awkwardly translated.
He didn't write it.
Well, some German did, or somebody wrote
somebody in German,
and then it got awkwardly translated into English. And then what we saw was that script where occasionally the actors were like going to Uwe Boll being like, no American's going to be saying this. And then sometimes it got fixed, and then a lot of times it didn't, because like the dialogue looks like it came out of Google Translate. I mean, it really, in a lot of cases, it really seems like you're just typing words in there, and this came out. I mean, it was absolutely bizarre. It's like who would say that? Whoever says that phrase? Who uses these words? It was just absolutely bizarre.
Early on, actually, with The Room, before we knew a lot about Tommy Wiseau and about The Room, that was my original theory for The Room. That he wrote it in French or whatever other language he speaks, and that it was just Google translated. That was my original theory. But I want to go to what Gunarso said. Nothing in this movie is fun or likable.
Yeah.
There is none of the comedy is funny. None of it is enjoyable. Like I'm gonna talk about this one scene on the boat that is ostensibly comic relief. All right. The underwear model is a little seasick. And he's wandering around the boat, and he turns, and then he spray vomits all in the face of the hot chick. In the grossest, most unlikable, like, it's not funny at all, but they want you to think it's funny because the actors all laugh. Right. And it's just like, that was disgusting and was totally out of place. It didn't need to happen. It didn't create any comedic element at all. It was like, why was that your go-to joke right there? And it
was the go-to joke because it got that woman
to show the dedication, because he puked on his girlfriend.
No, I don't think it was his girlfriend.
That was his girlfriend.
No, that was underwear model. That wasn't underwear model's girlfriend.
No, that the blonde chick in the blue dress was his girlfriend, because they're the ones that disappeared together, and he was, found in the trash or the porta potty later.
Okay, yeah, but that's not the underwear model. That's the job.
Not the underwear model. The underwear model is the one that said, "Hey, here, have a beer."
Hold on. Yeah. Nick, I'm sorry, you were saying?
The underwear model is the one that told him when he's just finished puking, "Hey, here, have a beer."
Oh, because okay. So
the underwear model had the chick that had a crush on him sitting next to him, claiming to be cold.
Okay. Thank you. So
I just watch movies weirdly.
Thank you, Nick. And that does bring up a point. Like, not only is it so hard to keep track of who these characters are, there's nothing in this movie that makes you want to.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot. You're right. The contrivance for the vomit scene was so Hot Chick could go below deck and get topless. And in total Cinemax fashion, Clint Howard comes down, and she just turns around topless and has a conversation with Clint Howard. Like, in a complete softcore Cinemax porn way. Like, she's not even like, "Oh, Clint Howard," and has a conversation. She's just like, "Wait, what is this Isle de los Muertos you speak of?" Like titties out.
Didn't he try to get her?
But like, she's like, "Hey, did you get a good look, perv?" And then he's like, "Here's a cross, because you're going to hell."
No, he said it's like so. He said we're going to this, because even though he was against them getting on the boat to go there, he's like, "Get on the boat anyway. I'll take you to your death." And he's like, "Here's some magic pendant to protect you from the spirits." He said something like, "Here's some protection." And she's like, "Oh, I brought condoms." It's like, already hard,
And then he's like, "No, I meant zombies."
He didn't say to protect you from evil spirits.
And then she left this.
And that was pretty funny. I'll admit that.
Yeah. So then we're back at the rave. All right. I just want to go over that scene right there. We're back at the rave. The guys start drinking. They start playing music and dancing. Well, Glasses, or ex-girlfriend, she's like, "I'm going to really kind of go investigate." And so she goes off. And I don't really remember, guys. I'm going to speed forward on this. Everybody leaves except Jock and Hot Chick, who then go into someone's random tent to have sex. Now, I'm not arguing the premise of this. They are in love and lust and want to get it on in this ghost town of a rave. Good for you. But what happens in this scene is odd. I can't quite piece it together. I almost tried to rewind or rewatch and said, no, I'm not doing that shit in this movie. It doesn't get a second review. No, I do that once. I'm sorry. I defied my morals even then. I rewinded the ending. But anyway, so they are getting hot and heavy. They're making out, and there's like a beanbag chair, and so Jock throws her down on there. Ooh, she's titillated, and he doesn't get her naked, but he starts and he gets on top of her, and he's like, oh, and he gets up and he's like, oh no, and he goes away. He's like, I gotta piss now. It's like, what? It happened in such a jerky, weird, like, what? They're making out, they're falling, and he gets up.
Does anybody remember the horrible word they were using to refer to having intercourse here? There was some horrible.
Was it like, are we gonna bump uglies? It wasn't even that.
No, it wasn't even that. It was again, Google Translate. It was so weird.
Oh, it was, yeah.
It was like, I can't.
I don't remember what it was, but it was like, hey, everybody, like, don't mind us. We're going to go Bafo Gafo.
Oh, yeah, it was like exactly something. That. Yeah, I mean, it was.
Garflock. Yeah.
Like, don't mind us. We're just going to be in the tent doing the old Wriggly. Like,
you're making it, as you do every time you recap, you make it more sensible than it was. I mean, it was
right. Yes. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Okay. I am going to attempt to speed run now until we get to the shooting. Okay. So, all right. Jock, he leaves the tent, leaving hot shit alone. This scene is the only standard horror movie scene that I could say that follows the standard trope of a horror movie. He leaves. She's waiting to get laid. She's like, are you coming back? I'm going to give it to you. And then she starts hearing growling. People are clawing at the tent, blah, 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 blah. And then she screams, ah! Cut away. All right, that. Our team goes, our team who has been investigating the island, they see some sort of house. They then leave. They come back. They go to the. Do they find Rudy then? No, they don't. No. What's that?
I do have a question.
Yes.
About the house.
Uh-huh.
Did it look familiar to anybody else?
No.
Because looking at the house and the well and all the stuff that was set up there, I swear that was like the set from the Scooby-Doo live action movie with Michelle Gellar. Or Sarah Michelle Gellar.
No, I don't know. That's an internet. Please look it up.
Because I looked at that and I was like, that really looks like the
awkward Scooby-Doo references in the film. That's something. So now I'm suspicious.
So, all right, how do I do this fast? Okay, they go to the house. They kind of see if there's a house there. They then go back, and then
Isn't that when they pick everybody up, or am I making?
No.
Okay.
This happens up, and so then they are screaming, and they're like, oh! They hear screaming, and they open up the porta potty, and there's Jock, and he's covered in feces. He's like, oh my god, it's horrible! I was in here, and then I heard growling, and then they threw in the porta potty. Now I'm covered in shit. Ah! And then they see hot chick. Oh, that picture, that could be it. For those listening at home, we've got a picture of the Scooby-Doo mansion. It's just the stairway. That really could have been the same set.
But the well, it's got to be the same well.
No,
your memory is superior.
Impeccable as always. So at this point now, they find Jock, and then hot chick starts wandering over, and she's clearly a zombie. She starts going, rah, rah, and then she attacks, and she's fighting. How do they? Oh, and So they're fighting, and then she is shot in the head. And then you turn around, and there is the what's it called? There is the Coast Guard agent, this female badass Coast Guard agent, and her assistant or deputy or whatever.
No, without the deputy.
Oh, the deputy's not there. Okay.
Can I also point out the screenplay is by English speakers, so this is getting weirder. I mean, I had a good explanation, folks. The world would make sense. There's law and order to the universe. Everything, we can anticipate what happens. I don't know what's going on. If they're English speakers, then that means that essentially, like, Uwe Boll, like, was typing his own lines into Google Translate and then changing the movie or something. That's all I've got.
Yeah. I don't know, man. But no matter what, here's what happens. Then zombies attack. They all run from the zombies. Run, run, run. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Zombies, zombies, zombies. They then... oh, no. At this point, you're right. They had gotten into the house earlier, and that's where they met Rudy and Liberty. Rudy is our main character from the opening of the film, and Liberty is the only character that has any flair in the film. And this comes from general personality and costume. Liberty is a young Asian hottie who is wearing a skin tight
flag,
American flag based leotard, and her hair is dyed red, white, and blue. I think it's just red and blue, actually.
Is it?
But her theme is she's super hot and really into patriotism. That's her theme. Her name is Liberty, and she leans into that. Like, her parents named her that, and she said, I'm gonna go for this theme as hard as I can possibly go for it. And I think she's the only character in the movie that's kind of fun. I don't know. In a vaguely odd way. I don't know.
Yeah, no, everybody else is.
She's the only character.
Forgettable. Everybody is literally like,
It's the only character I remember the name of. And so, all right. So they have them, and they told them we were at the rave, and zombies came, and they ate everybody, and we ran. They showed them the footage, and then all of our main characters were like, "Oh, we're being pranked. This is a joke." And they go there, and now they're all together, and now they're all running from zombies, fight. They then kind of get away. The Coast Guard agent and the underwear model decide to, and another character, I don't remember who, they decide to go running into the woods. They go in the woods to, like, find something.
I thought it was only two people.
Oh, they go back to get her boat.
Yes.
They go back to get her boat. And they
run.
That
was the jock and the Coast Guard agent.
Yeah.
Oh, the jock.
Why me?
Yeah.
Are you hurt?
Yeah.
Can you
so the Coast Guard, they go running. In the meanwhile, there was a zombie that they are shoving to the ground, and then the underwear model gets sprayed with its acid saliva in the face, and that's important because the underwear model is now ugly. That's his journey. That his character is now ugly. So yeah, they're running. Jock ends up getting eaten alive by zombies, and the Coast Guard agent comes back. She's like, "Sorry, Jock got eaten." They're like, "Well, let's go back to our boat that Captain Kirk is doing." Also, Clint Howard got eaten alive somewhere in this. I don't remember. He went to the island for some reason.
I gloss over Clint Howard because the whole movie I'm just like, "Where's Clint Howard?" And, you know what I mean? Like,
you got him.
You should look.
You got standards, all right.
Podcast. If Clint Howard was the one who suddenly turned badass and killed all the zombies.
Yeah. What if Clint Howard was the final girl?
Right.
Why not? But anyway, yeah, they throw him on the island. I don't remember why, and he gets eaten. All right, so then they try to get to the boat, and earlier we saw a pretty badass scene actually of Das Boot on top of Captain Kirk on top of the boat, and zombies are coming, and he's totally unfazed. He's just got a cigar, and he's like, boom, 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 shooting zombies. Only reason I said that is to set up what's coming next. And so they get there, and underwear model's like, I'm going to swim for it. And so he dives, and everyone's like, don't do it. That's stupid. And he dives in the water, and he's immediately getting attacked by zombies in the water. And then Liberty's like, no! go, and she runs into the water, and she's got a big old knife, and she is ninjaing zombies pretty hardcore. And so they are, and you got Coast Guard up there. She's shooting zombies like a badass too. And this goes on for way long time. Everything goes way long.
It's only an hour and a half long.
Yeah, that melee scene did kind of last.
And so Liberty is about to die, and then the zombie's head explodes, and you look over, and there's Captain Kirk, and he's got some big fucking guns. And now he's shooting zombies, and then they swim back to shore. And now it's run. And they get Captain Kirk's cache of guns because it turns out Captain Kirk was a gun smuggler. Yeah. All right, that's it. All right, give it that. Okay,
that's fine. That's not the worst thing. That's not the problem with this movie.
Now, here's where Captain Kirk's going crazy on his shooting fest. Everybody's trying to get onto Captain Kirk's ship, who Captain Kirk abandoned his ship, which that would never happen. But
like, he has a boat. He could have shot the zombies and then motored away. He could have just left.
We're getting the central problem of the film, which is that this is called the House of the Dead because they have to be in a house, and yet they've done no work to reasonably get the people into the house because they should obviously be on the boat. Like, at this point, it makes no sense for them to be like, we're going to hole up in this house and just fight up zombies for the rest of our lives. Or you
was this a zombie movie?
Or you could go to the boat and fight the zombies and then take off in the fucking boat. Like, this makes the whole, like, one job in House of the Dead is making sure the characters are in the House of the Dead for a good reason. At that mission. That's your only job.
But the secondary job, and I'm not sure if they do this because even though I did spend that $20 on House of the Dead, I don't really know, is making references to the game. And and you don't have much. And so I think Uwe Boll's version of this is he gives the people in the movie the weapons in the game. Like in any railgun shooter, like often what you'll have is there'll be a picture of a machine gun. And if you then shoot the machine gun, then you get the machine gun. And so like they give one character a submachine gun.
Right.
One character a machine gun pistol. One character gets a shotgun. One character gets 2 pistols. One character gets a grenade launcher. And everything like that. Like, is that a nod to the video game? And then they have a gratuitous gear up scene where everyone's like, ooh, here's my gun. Gear up, get those ammo, get that like shotgun shell bandolier. And they do that. And Coast Guard goes, everyone understand how your weapons work? And everyone's like, fuck yeah. Why?
Yeah, that was weird.
Well, here's the thing. Friendly fire happens with trained military personnel. Let alone a bunch of 20-somethings that you just gave guns to.
Just like, here's a bunch of guns. Like, here, go. You know what to do.
Zombies weren't going to kill the people in this. Everybody was going to kill themselves. And then you have okay. Uwe Boll understands that what this entire movie should be is fighting zombies. That's what it should be. And so how does he fuck that up?
Because they're not zombies.
Or monsters, ghouls, what have you.
I will accept ghouls. The fact that zombies don't use tools. Zombies don't swim.
It reminded me of
back and forth to the boat.
This reminded me of the
there's consistent rules. I thought that everybody shook it up or whatever, and it could be right.
Tell me this: did anyone figure out how the zombies become zombies?
No.
We did. Okay, because the whole time I was worried about like people being scratched and the rest of it.
Yeah, like the captain Kirk got bit.
Hot chick got bit.
Right.
Hot chick got bit.
Good point. Yeah.
Hot chick got bit. The Coast Guard woman, she should have come back as a half zombie.
Yeah. Straight up. You're right. Like,
You know?
yeah, because in this big melee, Das Boot got bit.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for him to
His big. I'm turning. I've got to be a hero before I become a zombie. That you're right. That never happened.
No.
Like, we don't know what these things are. So
Yeah.
anyway, this fight goes on fucking ever. And what's insane about it is suddenly they're all badasses. And I don't just mean like they're good at their guns. They're all doing stuff that is specifically meant to look cool. So, like, I'm going to angle the camera here for a little bit. Jason, can you move for a second?
Yeah.
Like, if I am one of these characters, I have no fear anymore, first of all. No fear. What I do when this fight comes is I just walk straight. Bah, bah, bah. Like, that's
And there go 3 of your friends.
because Neo in the fucking Matrix suddenly. And that is my segue, everybody, to the bullet time. I'm going to leave it to all y'all.
No. Before we get to the bullet time, actually, I want to talk about like the other thing that we're into, which is not just bullet time, but everything else.
Yeah.
But there's also, and there's been this endless resurgence of zombie things for a long time now.
Yeah, sure.
It seems like 20 years.
That's
think
why
it's
I
been
had actually seen this movie like a while back, because I had a phase where I was just going around looking for zombie movies.
Okay.
And really,
Some good, some okay, some bad.
Yeah.
and that really started with Zack Snyder's pretty good Dawn of the Dead remake.
Okay.
And then 28 days later sealed the deal. Suddenly it was zombies
Mhm.
Right.
as long as the
Right.
days as long as there's sunlight, there were zombies.
But the problem with this resurgence was from the beginning that it was meta. And having the characters in the movie know what zombies are is a great way to make a zombie movie just that much more stupid. A zombie movie is a stupid idea to begin with, right? It's nonsense, right? But then having all of the characters
Tell us how you really feel about the genre.
But then, no, I'm not saying that like you can't do it. I'm saying, but then if you want to make it dumber, have everybody in the movie have grown up watching zombie movies. At that point, it's just like, what even is this? What is this reality? What are you even talking about? You know what I mean? You have to have everybody be like, what the fuck is this for zombies to be scary?
Okay.
If you don't want zombies to be like, oh yeah, I've seen zombies.
That's what was up with The Walking Dead, because in that world they didn't have zombie lore or zombie TV
Yes,
shows.
okay.
They never have the word. They called them walkers or skinwalkers.
Right. Okay, that's good because otherwise in this movie they're literally talking about George Romero in this movie.
Yeah.
So what like literally, if we weren't doing this, if I hadn't already shut it off, I would definitely have shut it off by that point. I'd just be like, well, what is the point of watching this? So
now, and I understand the internal writing logic of doing that. It's the response to everyone going of like, oh my God, how do they not know to shoot them in the head? Have they never seen a zombie movie and leaning into it? That's the wrong.
Apparently you don't have to shoot these in the head.
Nope. You can just straight up kill them.
You can just
Which, by the way, is the 28 days later thing. That they weren't zombies; they were just super ravey people. So you could.
Thank you.
But
they were ravers.
now, this fight, and I'm hoping that we're going to spend more time on this fight, and then we're just going to end this because this fight is like. I bet you honestly, if you clocked it, it only came out to like 12 minutes. But it seemed like it was an hour of the least interesting, most boring fight sequence I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And all it is.
And also should be the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That's the end of the movie, is they do that scene and leave the island.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's.
Yeah. Ganarso says, cinema is a language. Scenes, shots, angles are the words that comprise scenes and action. Weebow's language is the equivalent of a toddler vomiting up a bowl of alphabet soup and pushing the letters around. That is an app. That's an app thing. And I am going to actually thank you, Gunnar. So this brings up another point. There's another director that has a similar sensibility. I don't want to get into the merits of this particular director, but that is Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder, let's not even how we feel about him, but Zack Snyder does not tell stories. His Dawn of the Dead might be the closest he ever came to it. He's not interested in stories, and he's not interested in characters. What Zack Snyder is interested in is moments.
Yeah.
The moment, the still shot, the image, this really badass thing. Somebody doing this really cool thing right there, and it looking fucking awesome. And I'm cards on the table. I do not like Zack Snyder, but he's really good at that. He can do that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to talk about a movie that I hate to a much more than this movie, which is Batman v Superman. Gunarso says Michael Bay, another person in school.
Same phenomenon.
But Zack Snyder does it better than Michael Bay, and he does. And Batman v Superman, I hate on a visceral level, but I can't argue that there aren't striking images, striking moments that if you freeze the frame and made them as a poster, you could put that poster on your wall. Uwe Boll is trying to do the same thing. He doesn't care about anything but the badass moment, and there is not one fucking badass moment in this entire movie. Yeah. Not even
Finally,
in this
we agree on something.
But Zack Snyder and Louis Boll basically are in the same level, in my opinion, because Zack Snyder doesn't give a fuck about any of the story of the characters. He does like those moments. Same with Louis Boll, except he couldn't pull the moments off.
He doesn't have the money to do it, and he doesn't have the talent to do it. I already do not respect that style of filmmaking, but I can at least give Zack Snyder that he's good at that one part of his making. Yeah. Uwe Boll tried to do that, and it's bad.
Zack Snyder doesn't respect the characters that he portrays in movies enough, or that he directs in movies. He basically just wants to see if he can mash it together and make something that looks cool. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, watch the freaking Justice League Snyder cut if you've got the time.
Yeah. Does anyone watch that? Anybody here?
I've watched it. Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
What do you think, Nick? His finest work or what?
First of all, Zack Snyder hates Superman.
Yeah, I hate Superman.
Fuck you, dude.
You know what? Let's stop for a second. Here's my problem with, and I really need to get this off my chest because it eats me up inside. Here's my problem with Superman. He came from another planet, and he calls himself Superman. He's not a man, and he's not even super because like the things that he's showing off are impressive to us, but. He's just a regular guy where he's from. That's like me. If I went to Mars and I could like, and I could do something that Martians couldn't, and I called myself Super Martian.
Well,
I'm not even
there is the whole yellow sun.
Superman with none of his powers on his planet. He only has them here
on Earth.
The sun.
That makes
him not a man, though. He can't call himself Superman. He can call himself Super.
Exactly the same. Come on. If the aliens come down and look like us, are we going to be spinning?
No, it's just false advertising. He should call himself Average Kryptonian. That's all I'm saying.
Just so everybody else feels inferior.
Are we done?
Batman versus Average Kryptonian. Superman is false advertising.
I'm going to say this right now. I didn't opt out of that because that hurt, because my feelings were hurt.
The truth hurt.
The weakest sauce shit about Superman I've ever heard in my life.
Name one thing I said that was wrong. That was truth, and you have it's a tough swallow. But he's not a fucking man.
I explained.
Love him all you want.
He is Superman.
Average Kryptonian. I forbid anybody to call him Superman from this moment forward. You call him Average Kryptonian.
First of all, Superman
Average
is male, so you could call him super male, but then that sounds weird.
Nick, we don't need to do this.
Men are human beings. He's not a human being.
Don't get into this. We could
Our
have
God tries to suck people in.
All right, guys. All right, let's stop. Let's end it.
I didn't hear any of
the winner, and
this.
we'll move on. All right, everyone agrees with me. I win. Let's move on.
But
Average
the
Kryptonian.
conclusion is that Louis Bold is better than Zack Snyder, in my opinion, because he's trying. He doesn't have all the tools he needs, but he's trying. Whereas Zack Snyder
What is this?
has
You get a
tool
booby
in the
fucking prize?
shed,
No, fuck this.
and he can't put things together.
No, he's not trying. You know what he is? He's a studio director. He doesn't write anything. He doesn't write shit. He is under orders, and he's not an artist. He's under orders to make a movie within budget that the writers want to make and the studio wants to make, and and there's just going to be the typical blah shit, and he's going to ship 5 of them out a year. That's Yui Ball. That's it.
John,
what?
I wish that was the case. And
no, well, okay.
We are going to come back to that at the end.
Okay.
So it's this big fight. It is interminably long, and it is all built around very new bullet time technology. Jules, can you please explain to me how the bullet time technique works? If this was first seen to amazing effect in The Matrix. Explain what is happening on a technical level to make bullet time work.
It's really easy. You just have a circle of regular cameras, and you shoot them off one at a time, essentially.
Okay.
And so you have a regular digital camera. You put 36 of them at 360 degrees, all around a person, and then shoot them off one at a time going around a person. And you capture that moment in time in a way that you could never do with an actual camera, because obviously it's moving within a fraction of a second because you're just going from camera to camera to camera to camera. So it's essentially, that's how it works. It's a really simple, ingenious thing that it's sad that bad directors like Yui Boll have ruined it forever, and meanwhile all the Matrix hype just ruined this technique, because it's a really novel, interesting way to capture a particular moment in time. I was thinking about that watching it. I'm just like, oh, this was actually promising. You know what I mean? This is something that you could use. But we'll never use it.
Yeah,
we could have the perfect scene where we should use it, and we'll be like, no, we can't do that, because everybody will see it and be like, oh,
yeah.
Time.
I think it was summed up and pinnacleized bullet time in Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo.
Oh, you are not quoting fucking Jesus. You bastard.
That was the lowest rent bullet time I have ever seen.
So
and they went with it.
So they fight and they fight. They do a whole lot of bullet time. They give a bullet time to every character. They give a bullet time to every character that's alive. And then they get to the house. And then they can't get into the house. And then they're fighting around the house. And they're defending the house. And then Coast Guard and Rudy, they break in, but not before Coast Guard gets her legs ripped off. And then she bleeds out in the house, and he's sad. Everyone gets in this house. They're all sad because Coast Guard is dead. And what the junk happens now? So then everyone starts making out. Like one of the characters, she comforts underwear model because he's like, I'm a freak. I'll never work again. She's like, I still think you're sexy. And
by the way, he's calling himself a freak. He's got a little Band-Aid on his cheek. I mean, that's kind of it. That's reacting a little bit. He's 85% handsome.
Yeah, he's mostly like, if they just shot him from one angle, he'd be fine. And so they make out, and then ex-girlfriend and Rudy, they start making out, and then Das Boot goes, I'm dying, I'm gonna die. don't worry, I'll sacrifice myself. And he goes out with a grenade and he blows up a few zombies. We then see some backstory of the villain, which they spend so much time on.
Well, no, there's a half an hour of the movie left at this point, at the point at which it should have ended, which is a big fight and they should have left. But no, we're going to go into the house because we haven't been in the House of the Dead, so we have to be in the House of the Dead.
We got to be in the House of the Dead, and then
we get a whole bunch of backstory,
whole bunch of backstory about, like, Spanish pirates or the Spanish Armada that was taking this prisoner because he was doing crimes against God, and then he escapes and he goes to the island and he spends his time making zombies. Okay, because he wants to invent immortality. All right, fighty, zombies. There's big villain. They end up outside at night or in the daytime. The only two people who are left are Rudy and ex-girlfriend. We then get our fencing plot because ex-girlfriend pulls out a sword and starts sword fighting with Cervantes, or whatever the name of our villain is, our Spanish zombie. And they fight, and then Spanish zombie out-fences her. She should have studied harder.
Yes.
And stabs
He's
her.
like hundreds of years old.
Yeah. And
That's
so
like beating McLeod. Come on.
And so then zombie gets shot, and then Rudy comes and cuts his head off. Like, no, he just axes his head off. But then the body of the zombie guy goes and starts choking Rudy to death, and somehow ex-girlfriend shakes it off.
She was only stabbed like right in the middle here between the hoo-has. But
and she gets up, she goes to the head of Cervantes, and she's like, "Now you're gonna eat it, fucker," or something like that.
No, she says game over.
Game over. Oh, it's a video game.
It's a video game movie.
And she stomps on his head, and then he dies. And all the other zombies are gone now. I don't know. Something like that. And then she dies in Rudy's arms, and then the authorities come, and this is the only thing I remember. There were two characters. One's name was G, and the other guy's name was K, or something like that. And those were the characters in the Wii game that you played. I remember that. Couldn't make them the characters the whole movie, but like they do that, and they're like, "We're the authorities. We're here to rescue you." And he's like, "Oh."
Now, I think the video game too. One of the lead guy name was G.
Yeah. There you go.
What's the deal in the end? Because Rudy says his name.
Yes, and so he wanders away with ex-girlfriend who's kind of walking now.
Yeah,
and you're like, what? And then they get in the helicopter, and then they just cut to a scene of like New York City, like the skyscraper.
It's not New York City. It's like fucking Vancouver or something.
All right,
it's
Vancouver.
A weird ass looking city, so I assume it's Vancouver.
And then there's the voiceover from Rudy who says, "So we escaped, me and ex-girlfriend, or whatever I've turned her into." Oh yeah, there was a little bit of detail about like how he was a med student, and then like when he was reading Cervantes' journals, he's like, "This work is brilliant."
So I'm only imagining that he's like the end goal of the actual video game, because
he's the big bad or something. Gunnar, can you throw up a comment? Did you mention that earlier?
He did, yeah.
That Rudy is the villain.
Somebody is the villain.
Rudolph?
Cheryl just said Inigo Montoya? Maybe.
But it's like his name was like what? Rudolph Furion?
I don't know. They don't say that name in IMDb. They just call him Rudy.
Right, but he actually, when the two guys ask him, "What's your name?" and he's Rudolph, got a last name, and then he's like Furion.
Something like, oh, all right. Were we supposed to know enough about the game that made a thing?
Yes.
I think that was supposed to be something, because if he's pre-med, imagine he goes on to become Dr. Furion, who would probably be a perfect character in the game, preserving his girlfriend who got killed on the island.
Sure.
That's the theme in the game.
Oh, are you saying that this movie was a prequel?
It was a prequel.
It is a prequel.
It was. That's all I know about it.
To the video game.
Oh, Curian. Gunarso just said his name is Curian, and Curian is the doctor who is the villain in the rail shooter. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So, John, I'm going to go back to a comment you made about what Uwe Boll is, that he's just a hack for hire. He doesn't care about these movies. And I wish that were true because, like, I respect people that are like that. Like, you know, like, I've read interviews with the people who make, like, Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus at the Sci-Fi Channel. I love those guys. There was this writer, I read at this interview at the AV Club of the guy who writes a lot of those movies. And he seemed to be a really nice guy, and he knew exactly what he was. And he's like, listen, my skill is that I can write to budget, and I can write fast. I've mentioned this guy on this podcast before.
Yeah.
And he...
Have some more wine.
Yeah.
Really? Really?
Okay. And so... listen,
there we go.
Making crappy movies for the Sci-Fi Channel has been a goal of Jules and I for a really long time. So I don't mind people who make bad movies. As John has said, I am often endeared by them. But Uwe Boll isn't that. Uwe Boll is, one, he's an asshole. That's one thing. It's been well documented.
Mm-hmm.
And two, yes, he has no respect for his movies, but he hates that people don't like them. He does take it really personally. Yeah. And he's not sad. Like, you know that everyone who made Knights of Newgate are just sad all the time. Uwe Boll is pissed off.
You're missing. Well, you're misinterpreting his motivation for being angry. It's not because he's hurt by the insults. It's simply he's German.
This could be, but no, he is infuriated that people think he's a bad director. He's infuriated.
He wants to box them, or the critics. He sounds like boxing matches.
I'm gonna have Jules tell this story, but like he takes it personal. He is furious that people think he's bad, that people think his movies are bad. Not only. I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue tied here. It's not that he doesn't respect his own movies. He doesn't respect his own movies, and he is angry that people don't like them. Jules, tell the boxing story.
I can't tell the boxing story other than the fact that essentially, yes, he did fight a guy who had criticized his movies, obviously rightfully, and thought it would be funny to do it, but apparently Uwe Boll, works out.
Yeah,
so it didn't. It just ended badly. But it is perplexing because the point is I think where his confusion comes in. If I'm going to be charitable to him,
can I pause this because this is a really good point. And after that, he did challenge every critic of his movies to fight him.
Yes.
And Gunarso just said I had forgotten this fact. He physically fought his critics in a boxing match, but chose out of shape people, and he turned away critics that were in good shape.
Ooh.
Or had boxing experience.
Okay, all right,
fuck you, Uwe Boll.
Well, you know what? If you're not, don't talk shit about him if you're not willing to get in the ring with him.
No, I think where his delusion comes from is that this is a competent execution of a horrible script.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So essentially, his supervision of the entire process, being the director, he should have been like, "There's all these problems with the script." Obviously, he executed a horrible script here. You know what I mean?
Right, but that plays into it, Jules.
There weren't continuity errors. Although Gunarso pointed out that the ADR got really wonky.
Yeah, the sound is weird.
The sound is totally weird in this movie. So he wasn't on that. But in terms of shots matching to one another, a lot of the things that we see on this podcast weren't here.
Yeah.
He executed a horrible thing.
Okay, to that point, let me speak.
It was written on the page and he did it.
Okay.
To that point, directors, real directors will turn down bad writing every time. They won't work with a shitty script.
Yeah.
And that's why he's a studio. In all of these scripts that he had, it's not really, and I don't really think any of these movies are so much his fault as it is his budget and the awful scripts. I think he's doing he's just trying to be profitable with shitty writing and not a lot of money, and to that he's effective.
Because there's no reason with this degree of technical ability.
Not trying to make great art.
With this degree of technical ability and this budget that you couldn't have made a classic that we would talk about. We would talk about being like that cheap movie was great. You know what I mean? That weird thing on the island with the zombies was really well done. There's no obstacle other than Uwe.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing. And John, like, I'm not saying I stewed, but like we diametrically are different in terms of our interpretation of people who make bad art.
We're as different as a human being and somebody from Krypton.
No.
Man.
But like, for instance, whereas you have no empathy for the creative team of Knights of Newgate, like, you can say they just didn't fucking know how to make a movie. So they had a dream. Hold on, I'm going to say this.
Okay.
They had a dream. They really wanted to do this. They really wanted to make a movie. They really wanted you cannot tell me that the people who made Knights of Newgate didn't care about that movie. They cared about every aspect of it. They didn't. They cared about making a movie, not that movie. They were caring. There's nothing to love about. No, you could just tell they had no love for the genre or anything. No, that's completely wrong. They would have chosen something else.
These guys, the Knights of Newgate really thought. I'm not saying they knew what they were doing,
but I mean, I think.
God damn it! Sorry. Now I forgot what I was going to say. God damn it. No, the thing with the Knights of Newgate, there's a lot of movies that I love that have no budget and they do amazing things with it because you can tell they have a love of whatever they're creating. And you can do that with all different types of film. I've seen it done in all different types of film. These guys really believed that this was a good action film. The Knights of Newgate I'm talking about. They were like, this is great. They saw the shitty fucking thing they were doing. They're like, oh, this is audiences are gonna love this. This is really great. No, and anyone with any common sense knew it was terrible. So you're never gonna make me believe that they had some deep love for this. They had a deep love of calling themselves filmmakers and making and listen. I mean, they went way out. I mean, the guy sold his house. I mean, they took 14 years to make this movie. The actors weren't getting paid. I know they went through a lot, and I can appreciate it on that level. But somebody needed to stop and take a step back and look at what they were creating and look at it the way an audience would. And they never did that. It's like, you see this mistake so many times with musicians where, they're just playing their guitar, and they're not listening to the whole band and what the song is, and it comes out awful. John, I don't actually argue any of those points, but that doesn't actually address what I'm saying. And we're talking about a subjective thing of, did they care about this movie? Did they care about what But Nick, I just want to get this comment, and then I'll leave the floor for everyone to say that this is for me the difference between Uwe Boll and the Knights of Newgate people. The Knights of Newgate people bled for that movie. And it was terrible, and they didn't know what they were doing. And I will say, by the way, the dialogue in Knights of Newgate was better than this movie. Yeah, there are actually lines in that movie that I'll go further and say, you know what, Ian? I'll go further and I'll say the writing was better in Knights of Newgate than it wasn't. But in any case, they cared about that movie. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Oh, fine. No, they didn't. Whatever. Like, whatever. We're not going to agree on this.
I say that Uwe Boll actually did care about this movie. But I also look at it from the perspective of he's a German director. He's making it like German film. I mean, have the Tin Drum.
It's the Scheißer film. I've seen the Tim.
The Tin Drum is, by the way, a fantastic classic movie that bears no resemblance to this. You're not going to start comparing Uwe Boll to Werner Herzog. Not on this podcast.
Not on this, but no, we won't have it. No.
Hold my beer. First off,
Well, let's settle. Say I'm gonna promote us in Germany from now on. We'll see what.
Go Scheister podcast.
Germans weigh in.
First off, the Tin Drum is this completely like wild, out of the like. Oh, this kid stops growing. Okay, sure. And over the course of the film, develops superpowers. I mean, what? oh, all right. Because he isn't growing, and he's got this ability to use his voice to cut glass. I mean,
yes, Nick. It is a magic realist film. It is a surrealist magic realist film,
and that's what Uwe Boll is doing.
Oh
no, not at all.
He took zombies and completely turned them into something else.
Okay.
He took the fantastic and he's just like, hey, let's just grind some of that off of you here and let's make zombies into angry people from a rave. That's what he did. Fantastic to boring and mundane, because that's what you do. You take either the boring and mundane and make it fantastic, or the fantastic and you make it boring and mundane. German cinema.
that is a very reductive at the descendants of the Weimar Cinema Republic right there. Oh God.
Mic drop. Okay.
What are you gonna do?
Let's just make this more difficult to talk about this. That's what we'll do. We'll just make.
We're just going to talk about Ingmar Bergman for the rest of this entire.
Talk about Triumph of the Will. Let's just.
But here's what.
Oh, why haven't we picked Triumph of the Will for the best?
Oh fuck!
We could really do Intolerance. We could really watch Intolerance for 8 hours.
Do it. Let's go there. Let's
But back to this point that like John and I'm actually getting angry, but like, but
Yes.
the difference is I do have empathy for the Knights of Newgate people, and I have no empathy for Uwe Boll.
Right.
That is the crassest look at commercial filmmaking I've ever had. Like, at least the people at the Sci-Fi Channel that make Sabretooth and Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus, they don't have any illusions of what they are. They enjoy what they are. They make fun of their own movies. They're like, yeah, we had $10,000 and we made, or no, we had $100,000 and we made this movie and we had fun with Tara Reid and like we did this, and in the next Sharknado they're gonna have chainsaws. Like that's what we're gonna do. And I love that. Uwe Boll is that if you take the fun away.
Yeah.
If you take anything enjoyable about that bullshit away, what you're left with is Uwe Boll and anger. And I have no tolerance for that.
Pure, unadulterated German anger.
No, you can't have any of that.
Werner Herzog would be proud.
Angry Germans don't really do well in the public.
Guys, can we please stop mentioning Werner Herzog in the same breath as Uwe Boll? Can we please?
Prominent Germany.
No, they're German filmmakers. I mean,
Riefenstahl, Uwe Boll, and Werner Herzog.
Wim Wenders. I just said Wim Wenders unprompted.
Can I just say how good was Werner Herzog in The Mandalorian, man?
Fucking great.
Holy shit.
What is the problem? Why would they kill? What?
Apparently, Werner Herzog had such a good time making it too. He's like, this was great. I had a great time.
Kill him.
I'm going to do this forever. I'm happy for once in my life.
When it came out that like Werner Herzog and Carl Weathers and Pedro Pascal were going to be in the Mandalorian TV show, I texted you that.
Yeah.
And I believe your response was, Did we get drunk and get a Star Wars show greenlit? Okay. All right. So, guys, we are what we're at. We're at hour 45 minutes. We don't need to belabor on this anymore.
No.
So, any final thoughts? My final thought is this was just. I was angry. I was angry that they could get Clint Howard. I'm not angry at Clint Howard. He didn't deserve Clint Howard in this movie.
I was ready to give this guy credit for being like, he gave Clint Howard work. I was ready to give him the benefit of the doubt, being like, this guy he's like, I'm making a movie, I'm putting Clint Howard in it.
It's like when you
know
shop when you shop at a local store rather than a big box.
Exactly. And I'm like,
I'm angry at Ron Howard for not giving Clint Howard enough money where he wouldn't have to take such a shitty
No, man.
That's why I'm angry.
Ron Howard hires his brother all the time.
Yeah, he does.
Not
all
enough,
the
apparently.
So
It's not always about the money, John.
So that's my thing. My final point is fuck this movie. I never want to play the arcade game again, and I played it a number of times, and I'm angry that
It's being remade this year for the Nintendo Switch.
or Das Boot. Nick, final thoughts.
I thought it was a pretty good movie.
You're going to be hearing a lot of this from Nick. I'm just warning you all.
Because I remember actually catching the scene back when Sci-Fi Channel was showing a lot of movies and not just wrestling and I don't know, whatever the fuck they show now, some reality shit. But actually, the girl, as she's jumping up, getting the bullet time shot and shooting the shotgun at the thing, which I kind of have to ask.
Yeah,
somebody throws an axe at you.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you,
Yeah.
Nick, for bringing that up. I said that there was no badass scene in the movie except for there is this shot. It wasn't well animated, but she cocks the shotgun, jumps in the air. You see the shell, or I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, the shells.
In slow motion, you watch it start to disintegrate, and then you see the buckshot spread. That was cool. I'm gonna throw that out there. That was cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That scene
Only
in Sci-Fi Channel made me want to watch that movie years ago when it was showing up on Sci-Fi Channel. The fact that you guys picked this movie out, and I was like, wait a second. I remember that. Hold on. Wait a second. Oh yeah, and the face lick. That one too. Yeah.
Okay.
Because nothing says sexy like licking somebody's face.
That's my go-to sex movie.
Again, Nick, German director.
I mean, this is German cinema.
We're lucky they weren't smearing shit on each other.
Well, that did happen.
German
too.
director. You don't.
He did wind up with one of the lead smeared with shit. So yeah.
John, final thoughts.
Second worst thing the Germans ever did to us.
Jules.
You're putting that over World War One?
World War One wasn't that bad. I mean,
all right.
I mean, it was upstaged. I was just gonna say. I mean, if they stopped at World War One, I would say, yeah, that would be it. But the second one, made the first one look like.
No, look, what I said before is all I have to say about it. It was a remarkably competent execution of a horrible script.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because we're used to it falling apart in that regard. The editing is bad. The continuity is bad.
Can't hear anything.
The set is bad. The acting's bad. Right. The directing.
The point is that they could have produced anything within this realm, otherwise. They could have produced the good version of this movie. There was nothing in their way other than bad taste. And that's what happened.
Have you looked at Uwe Boll's IMDb profile?
No.
Check it out. Look at it. I mean, it pretty much is just like he doesn't miss a year.
No, I was saying that. I was looking at his list of films.
Sometimes he's
He'll
putting out
shit out
3,
4 or
4.
5 movies a year. He's prolific. He really is.
Yep. Jason, final thoughts.
Yeah, to get this movie out of my head, I'm going to have to watch one of those random director remakes of a Romero movie.
Okay. And with that, Jason.
Yep.
Jason.
Oh, yes, it's my turn, isn't it?
What are we watching next week, buddy?
All right, our next movie is going to be another one with your personal friend, B.D. Wong.
Oh!
Oh no!
Lounge People.
Called what?
Lounge people.
Yes, Lounge People.
The lounge people.
What is it?
This does not bode well at all.
Hold on. What's the movie?
It is the lounge people.
The Lounge People.
The lounge people.
Jason, is this going to be one of those
Respect.
like
All right.
those movies? This is a movie you learned about because it was on during the day, like in the 80s on Showtime or some shit.
Mid-90s flipping through cable.
Yeah. High five. There we go.
All right.
John, can you throw us the trailer link?
Your movies are so boring. Yeah. So boring. All right.
I will take Jason's movie any of the day of the week over this.
But mine are bad that they're entertaining. His are just boring. They're so boring. I don't know. You're not all ADD like I am.
No, I would rather watch something boring. No, this was like should have been entertaining and wasn't. You know what I mean? I would rather watch something boring than this.
I don't know.
Well,
This wasn't that bad.
yeah, I'm telling you, Nick is like this. This is on par with like Lawrence of Arabia to Nick. Like the stuff that he plays at his house. His house is like bad movie cinema 24/7. You stop over there, and it's the Sharknado. Right.
The world is busy trying to forget these things while I'm busy trying to collect them.
Right.
Man, Nick's not allowed to get his own tagline.
He's earned it. This might be a lost media thing. I'm not finding shit for this. Lord have mercy.
Okay, so all right. So, Jason, you're gonna find us a trailer and put it on the Facebook.
I'll do my best.
All right. With that, thank you for sitting through yet another dangerous podcast. I'm your host, Ian Alley Seals. I'm here with Jason, Jules, John, and Nick.
Keep Hartford shitty.
Woo!
Have a great night, everybody.
Night.
Night.
How do I get off this thing again?